We just happened to get blessed by the presence of Mr. Robert King.
Oh, yeah.
Who's just standing right in front of us. Who's actually doing bandit signs here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right.
You know
9.
the constable was supposed to be here, right?
The police? Police?
I didn't do it. I hired somebody to do it. Didn't do it.
So look guys, I met Robert a couple of months ago, or actually a few months ago now. Thank you so much. And we brought him to our podcast because he said he was doing a little bit, some deals. He was getting some deals. And I said, Robert, how are you getting your deals? Well, you know, I've been doing bandit signs, man. And I was like, really? How's that working out for you? Well, you know, I got these systems in place, and the next thing I know this guy's bringing like $100 a month on bandit signs. And I was like, you doing what? With bandit signs? Man, I'm scared of bandit signs, you know. I don't like the police. And he's like, me neither, but you know, I still do it. So this is somebody that's actually crushing it. Using bandit signs, he's got a lot of systems in place. And the reason I invited him to come up front is because he uses this app. And Robert, can you tell us a little bit about, number one, who you are, what you do, how people can connect with you, but also how you can use this particular app?
Well, thank you, Mr. Ray, Ricardo, for letting me come up and talk. Good evening to everybody. I'm Robert Kennan. I say I'm an entrepreneur solutions provider. You know, I like to provide different services. I flip, wholesale, do every strategy that's out there. And I thank you again, man, for giving me this opportunity. And you can find me, my name is Robert Kennan, so you can look me up and connect with me. But this app right here.
Okay, wait. Nobody knows how to spell your last name.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Kennon. Robert Kennan.
So you've been living with that name so long.
This is common, but Kennan, you can find me on any social media platform. And like I said, I've been in this business going on, this October will be 5 years. October 13th, the first time I closed the wholesale deal, it changed my life. October 13th, with over many transactions, bandit signs have been one of my sources. I do guerrilla marketing, different strategies, but that's one of my dominant strategies because I like to dominate the space, and that's something that I had to perfect over time to figure out a solution to bring in deals.
Robert, okay, so we'll bring you in to do like a tip or a case study or whatever, but we're going to do technology tonight. So I'm just going to cut to the chase. What you're doing is working, change your life, extend your family's life. So how does this damn app work?
Okay, good. I like to get straight to the point. Okay, so this app right here has been detrimental to my business because I got street teams. They say you're a street team, but that's exactly what I got. I got street teams. And this app will change the whole perspective of your business because you get to, if anybody putting out bandit signs like me, I have a lot of guys that put out bandit signs around Houston, Oakland, everywhere, so I need to keep up with everything. I need to see where they put signs at before I pay them. So this app will, well, you can go online on the computer and do it, but you gotta go on the app and download it. So if you guys wanna download this right now, it would be great. So in essence to that, this app will keep up with your bandit signs, keep up with everybody's putting the bandit signs. It's a GPS tracker. So if you got guys, women or whoever putting out signs and they say they putting out the signs, this will keep count. And this will let you know where all the signs are placed.
So it's connected to their phone, you can see where their phone's going.
Yes. Well, it's connected to wherever they put the signs. Like if you put out a bandit sign, let's say at the corner right here of Airtex and 45, the GPS tracker is going to show that area. That's where it's going to be located.
So if he hits a button and says, I placed this.
You got to take a picture of the sign. Each one of my guys take a picture of the sign, and that's what the GPS tracker keeps up with.
Now you know how much to pay them, you got geo-tracking on the sign, you know who put it there, when they put it there.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. And I also use CallRail to integrate with this, and that's what keeps my system going. So pretty much this.
So if a guy puts a sign out and makes a deal happen, does he get more money?
Absolutely.
And that's how you use the call now.
Yes. Caldwell keeps up with all the tracking, but this app lets me know, because I use like between 8 to 10 guys. I do 1,000+ bandit signs a week. So this keeps me, well, I got different accounts because you can, once you guys look at this tonight, you're gonna see where you can add 50 to 100 people, depending on how big your crew is. So I say this app have done a big business. My guy Matt in the back, he's one of my coordinators to handle and hire people to use this app. So before I hire anybody to use my bandit signs, they gotta know how to use this app.
What's the cost of the app?
Now,
What is the cost of the app, or is it free?
no, you gotta pay for it.
How
Yeah.
much? How much?
Well,
How much?
it's different.
So repeat the question. Repeat her question.
Oh, she was asking, was the app free? No, it's not free. You
No, it
can,
makes you money, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They pay you to use it.
absolutely,
They pay big dollars to use their app.
yes. And you can start off. I think it's a free trial to start off with. So
Usually, how much do you pay a month, Robert?
I got somebody that keep up.
You see, he doesn't even know. You know, that's a good problem to have.
He's got bean counters.
I got somebody spending my money on that. You know, I don't even keep up with that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
This is not costing him nothing. It's only costing people money that don't use it.
Yeah, it's
They're
just
not
to
making
make,
the money he's.
just to give people an idea on really how much, I don't know, $14 a month will.
It's really cost efficient.
Would you pay
$49.
$1,000 a month if you had to?
If I had to, yes. Because it's detrimental. Yeah, I got. It just depends.
Every thousand changes the perspective of the person running.
You know what? I would rather be 3,000 because that's going to cut all the
everybody out.
amateurs out.
Right.
I'd much rather do that. You need to just go buy that and take it off the market.
I should do that. I'm gonna email to find out. Yes, sir.
Does the county pick up these signs if you know?
Absolutely.
So then if they come out and take a picture of it, how do you know it's still there then?
Well, because on the GPS it's gonna show it. Once you go on your computer, like just say on my.
Okay, no, I understand your question. If somebody picks up the sign, it's picked up. I mean, you know, you can't really,
Yeah, you can't stop that.
you can't stop anybody from picking it up.
Yeah, but
When
you
it's
can't
gone.
tell they put it there.
But you can't tell if the county picked up the sign and there's no sign.
No, because a lot of my signs get picked up the next day. That's just part of the business.
So
They just gotta keep going around. And that's why I use this app, because when you, like if you got 3 people putting out and they telling you they put them out, you want to make sure they put out.
So what we'll do is, this is not a lesson on how to do science. This is just showing the power and the value of that process and how the app makes that work. So thank you. Let's give Robert a big.
Hey, thanks so much, Robert.
He can fill out in one of my marketing directors, and he's a beast at it. Thank you guys again.
Thank you, Robert. All right, so this is an app to track your bandit signs, not to track when they pick them up. For that, you need to drive out there. So look, Ray, I put up some very common websites that I personally use to check up pricing on properties, okay?
Right.
And this is not to do a CMA, this is not to do comps. I just want to know what's selling in the area, how much is it selling for, and to give me a quick idea on pricing, okay? One of them is HAR. If you're from Houston, you should be very close to this app, and you can put it on the phone. You can, basically come up to, let's go to, I don't know, somewhere right here, and let's look at one of my houses that's for sale right now.
Not to be
like this.
This goes Jersey Beach.
This is like truly.
By the way, that kind of looks like an app too.
Right.
But this is strictly used.
App looks just like it. Well, you can get some data from San Antonio and Corpus. And
Oh, you can?
yes.
Okay.
They're connected to the rest of Texas now. I just found out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're moving in all the large markets.
But basically, you know, if, let's say I get a lead and I want to go look at a property in this particular corner here. And I don't have time to do a CMA, my realtor is busy or whatever. I want to know what's pending. Like, okay, this one is spending at 275. It's a house with a pool on the contract, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath. Then I go look at the price per square foot, which is $90 a square foot.
And let me just stop you there for a second. Learn how to read between the lines. Like in the general description, if there's like 2 sentences, it probably is not real updated, right? If there's like 20 sentences or 15 sentences, then they're probably a problem. And so that'll help you decide what the condition of that house is.
Yeah, in my case, I just go for the price per square foot, straight up. I mean, I just buy per price per square foot, regardless of what it says. But you're right.
Right.
If you're looking at a house that just got remodeled, it's gonna have all that long, beautiful description in it. If it says investor special, guess what? So, you're raised right. You wanna read between the lines. But after you do that, go straight to the price per square foot and see what it's selling in the area. That's what I use. I call this CMA hacking. A realtor already did a CMA for me, and he listed or she listed a property in the area, you know, within reasonable, you know, a couple of bucks or whatnot. But now I know what is selling in the area per square footage. That way,
The warning on that, the warning on that is make sure your square footage is in line with other square footage. You know,
correct.
if you're 1,000 foot over what most of the houses are in that neighborhood, then your square foot price will probably be much lower.
So here I am. That's mine. You'll want to buy it. That's it. 225 metal roof. It's got 100,000 euro roof or whatever, 100 euro roof. I'm selling for $97 a square foot. And when I bought this house, I bought it, I think it was for like 170, and then I put maybe 20 in it. I've dropped the price all the way from 250 to 225, and I did have comps to support the 250. But that's just to give you an idea of pretty much what to look for in an area that you might get leads on, or if you're going to lease a property or whatever. This is just quick. This is not going to be your determining factor on how much is really the ARV or what you should look for. It's just to give you an idea, okay? And I love to get a lot of ideas before I go and put an offer on a property. Eventually you want to get a CMA also. I also do the Zillow thing, which, you know, I'm not gonna tell you go trust Zillow because they do have all sorts of weird data that they pull from. But I found out that in a lot of cases, they do have some solid data.
Yeah, but just remember we're a non-disclosure state. If you're like in Florida, it's a disclosure state. So it's very easy for this data to be wrong on Zillow. So just be real careful with Zillow.
Be very careful with Zillow. There's another website called realestateabc.com, which you will put an address here. And it's kind of funny because this website will pull the data from Zillow. But it will show you all the sold houses and how many miles away where the property's at.
Does it show the actual sales?
It shows the sales of the property. So, but it pulls the data from Zillow. So don't ask me how it works or whatever. This is what I use usually in like other cities where I don't have realtors to give me a comp. I just put an address in like Miami, Florida, and you know it gives me a very accurate data on the sold property. So I look at the Z estimate, but then I go to what sold that compares to this, and when did it sell. So
we've seen that kind of with Redfish.
Yes. I actually, you know where I picked it up at? That Ron and Rand meeting we went to. So he's the one that was that showed me his website, and I started using it for all the deals that we're doing out of Texas, pretty much.
Cool.
And it's been very accurate. So that's just, again, this is just to give you an idea. This is not going to determine your ARV or cost of repairs or anything like that. That's just to give you an idea on how much is a property per square foot. After you get the deal and you get them under contract, then you go to Transact Title, which is one of our sponsors.
Okay.
And you open contract. Okay, that's our website. And do you have anything to add on this, Ray?
Now, we could talk about it for a long time. I want you to show Trello, but the guy,
I'm going
the
next.
guy with the tool bags here, so I want him to go over a couple tools real quick.
Ricardo, Transact Title, where are they located? Are they brick and mortar?
They're at,
Yeah, brick and mortar. They're in, Gallery area?
yes, 6117
They have four.
Richmond.
Yeah.
But
They
you
have
got,
four. They have four. They have one in Sugar Land.
well, Mansour's the one, he's in.
Galleria,
Richmond.
Sugar Land,
The
okay.
main one. Because I just talked to them. That's
So-
why I know.
If you want information on Transact Title, their business development manager is outside, sitting on the booth. Just go get cards and ask them what they can do. I know they can do subject to wraps.
One thing, also, remember title companies do not like investors bringing them houses for like $30,000 or $40,000 because they don't really make any money. The title's all screwed up. So when you get a title company, take care of that title company. When you go and sell that house for $150,000 or $180,000, use that title company. As a seller, we have the choice. And every realtor that makes an offer and a buyer brings them to you, we either buy all our properties in LLC or trust. The buyer's realtor almost always tries to change that. We put it right in the agent remarks that we're selling them, say, we're picking the title company unless they're paying for the title policy. Then we'll give in. But the reason I do that is I want to take care of Mansour. I want to take care of those people that will give me a title commitment in one day when I need it. That will send me a document when I need it. Right? So it's a very, very important relationship to continue to develop. Okay, so what kind of goodies you got for us?
So I'm a home inspector. I brought all, this is what I wear when I do an inspection. There are
Where's
different
your
things
bulletproof
here.
vest?
Some places, but anyway, especially during all this, I do. I just thought I would show you what a infrared camera can do.
What's that microphone there?
So you can see the handprint that I left on the wall. It's a heat
That's
switch.
cool.
I can't see.
Can I borrow that with, tonight?
There was a plumber that
I
found
think
a
you're
house
watching
borrowed
this.
for a weekend,
Uh,
and I'm glad he gave it back.
That's good. That's a neat tool. I mean, you could use that a bunch of different
Right,
ways.
so I can point this at a spot and, like, some places I've seen a big old blue spot in the ceiling, and you can't see anything with the eye. And it was a hidden water leak that, you couldn't tell, but it was about to break through.
Would blue mean cool or does it?
Well, I have this camera set up so that blue is cold and red is hot.
So like if I had a leaking duct, I could point that at I could check for
Correct.
leaks with my duct.
You'll pick up things like gaps in insulation and water that is accumulated behind sheetrock or in sheetrock that your eyes can't see. I can walk up to a wall and I can tell you, yeah, right over there's a big hole in the insulation.
What are you going to do with that one when you get to the door?
I collected it, but I'm sure somebody would buy it.
We buy cash, man. We pay cash fast.
I got another one with me too.
$10?
Not that low.
100.
So, okay, and then the level,
I'll auction your deal.
yeah, we're gonna do an auction. Okay, so, this device right here, I can do in the middle of the house, and it's a level, so I get my reference point in the middle of the house, it'll read 0 once I adjust it, and then I can go multiple points in the house, put pictures in the report, okay, it's an inch low over there, it's an inch high over there, and then later if
Pick
it,
up that piece and then go to the other parts of the house.
correct,
You
so
gotta-
this, it has like a 100-foot roll.
So you've already got a reference point established there.
So, right, so, you know, compared to the middle of the house or compared to the front door, it's an inch low. So we can tell what houses have moved, because a lot of houses have cracks, but not every house is out of level.
And
Many
some houses
houses,
are not even poured right.
right,
They're poured out.
they can be 11 inches out of level, and you can't always tell. It could be 6 inches.
That's that spring branch house that guy had. Guarantee it's on.
And look, and there's two types of properties out here in Houston. The ones that have a foundation problem and the ones that will have a foundation problem. So that too is pretty handy. I have one, you know, if you want to rent it, let me know.
Just in case you haven't looked at slab reports, he's gonna make a reference point. He'll make a reference point, and then he'll say minus or plus from that reference point as he goes through the house. And then that, he'll kind of make a map, and then with that map, he can tell what's going on with that slab.
So then, this is a useful tool. It's a non-destructive moisture meter. So let's say I saw a big spot on the wall over there, it was blue, but I don't know for sure that it's wet. So I can walk over there, and if this thing lights up when it's set to sheet rock, and I know.
Yeah, so you have to set it for the kind of material it's on,
Right.
and then you'll know the moisture content for that material compared to other things in the house.
Correct. So I can put it on many spots, compare, okay, it was dry everywhere else. Whoa, over there where that blue thing showed up on the infrared, it was
Right.
So then that goes in the report. Then there's also the non-contact thermometer, so I can tell you what the temperature is generally of the air coming out of
And
that.
tell them, when you do a split on an air conditioner, that gives you a real sense of how your air conditioner is running. It won't tell you what the problem is, but it'll tell you if it's running good or not running good. So describe a split, what you would typically.
So the split or the delta temperature change, when the air goes into the air conditioner to the return vent. By the time it comes back at the supply, so air goes in, goes through the system, comes back. The air should drop between 15 and 20 degrees. It could be more, it could be 24, it could be 30. 15 to 20 is the industry standard, give or take a degree, some people say 14 to 21. So the only thing is, if you have an inspector and he does this, okay, and then he goes over to the return vent where the air is going back into the system.
Where it's pulling the air into the system.
So right there, okay? So then it says 66 there, and it says 66 here. It's not running right now. Either that or I'm gonna have to remember. But let's say it says 76 here and 66 here, okay? So then he's gonna write on his report, this thing didn't cool within 15
Because they
to
have a
20
10-degree
degrees.
split.
Right. But what he should do is get on the ladder if he's gonna do that, and if he wants an accurate reading. Put this up to the vent within a foot or less and let it blow on there for a minute, and then you'll get a better reading. It'll say like 16 or 20 when before it said 10. But when you shoot it from this far away, it's not gonna be very accurate.
These things are so cheap, it doesn't make sense not to own one. Because you can walk through your house and find out if ducts are not working and see how your AC is doing. If I do a split, if I come and do a split, if we're flipping a house, we'll do virtually everything he does and we'll check it. And if I got a 15 or 16 degree split, I know that I'm fine. If I don't have that split, then I gotta call my AC guy over there and it could be something, it's almost always something simple, but when he writes it on his report, guess what happens when he writes on his report? It's bad. Then what does the buyer do? They know, they go hire an AC company in the yellow pages, if there is such a thing. And then when the AC guy comes in, what do? They want to change boxes. So they just killed your deal. And a split can be caused with for very inexpensive reasons. And you want to make sure that you don't have any of those inexpensive reasons just sitting there waiting to fight you.
What do you do?
So you said it should be 15 plus.
This thing?
No.
14 to 20 is
This thing?
normal.
14 to 20.
Okay, what other goodies you got?
What's the name of the thing?
Oh, this is just, Home Depot sells this brand. It's called an infrared thermometer. They're not that expensive, maybe 40 bucks. You can get $300 models.
Now, the one for the foundation, that one's pretty expensive.
800, right?
They start somewhere around there. Now, you may want to go to pawn shops, see if somebody left one there, but I doubt it. They're very costly. The one I bought is like $2,500.
So you could use a water level.
You could use this too.
Yeah.
Get a little laser level, and you can actually walk through a house and mark your inches and just write it down. And this is good for grading on a house too. If you go outside, if it's in bright daylight, it normally won't work real good unless you get a real high laser, expensive laser. But then I can see the droppage as I'm walking through the house. And that is a self-leveling laser. And the other thing with this laser is it draws straight lines. So you can set it to adjust your outlets, your light switches, your cabinets. The cabinet guy I he uses that laser to get his verticals and his horizontal, and he sets his cabinets level.
Now, this is for the most part for people that are actually rehabbing houses. If you're a wholesaler, what you gotta say is like 40 to 60,000, and you should be okay. I'm kidding.
Yes.
How are you?
You need one. I can tell you buy all this stuff.
Oh, yes.
I'll trade you.
Gadgets.
I'll trade you that for that infrared reader you got.
Need it for inspection tomorrow.
I think that's
Okay.
wrong.
I'll meet you after the inspection.
I can tell you're an investor.
So what's your name again?
My name is Paul Ferguson. I'm a home inspector.
And how do we get in contact with you, Paul, if we need your services?
Dial 713-249-2618.
Once again?
713-249-2618.
You didn't get his what?
Oh, my name is Paul Ferguson, Trek number 6883. That's my license number.
One thing, if you're a rehabber, there's a good theory that says if you hire a home inspector pretty soon after you start, and maybe even before you buy, but even if after you start or getting ready to get started, he's going to identify the critical areas that the buyer's agent's going to bring their inspector. And what I would do is try to work out a deal with Paul, and we haven't ever talked about this, but I would maybe work out a deal with Paul and say, look, I want 2 inspections. I want the one before my guys start to maybe make sure I'm buying the right house, and I want the one when my guys finish and before I pay them that last check. Because the next guy's going to come in. Now, if you're fixing the house up right, you have to give that, through the seller disclosure, you have to give that inspection to the buyer. But that's okay, let them see that, because hopefully you fix those things. If you're going to do a good rehab, then don't be afraid of it. Because 100% of the agents that buy that house or bring buyers for that house are going to bring inspectors. I mean, it's closer to 100 than it is to 99.9.
What we started doing on our rehab agency is that we actually work with an inspector that we have a deal with, and he'll go inspect all the properties that we flip. And he's giving us a flat fee for pretty much every inspection. And what we do is we give the inspection report to the buyers with the property. They're still going to go and hire somebody else for the most part, but some of them will see that a lot of the items were fixed and they're more comfortable in putting an offer. So, it's just a second set of eyes in order for you to get a better product out there, and it is going to help you sell the property hopefully quicker. Okay, so if you got any questions, reach out to Mr. Paul, and I'm pretty sure he'll be glad to.
Yeah, let's give Paul a hand. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now it's Trevor.
So this is like Ray's favorite part, I guess, because that's where you track all your stuff. So this is my Trello, actually. We use this to track everything on a house. What kind of paint we got, we bought, the coat, mistakes that maybe the contractors made that we need to go back and fix. We take pictures, we upload it. What kind of tile we bought.
Let me just show you one thing real quick. What you're looking at here is, hopefully I use the right term. This is a board. Okay?
Yes.
And then each one of these vertical lines is a card deck. And each one of the card decks could be, the label of the card deck could be incoming, due today, due the next week, due sometime in the future. Or it could be the way he's doing it. I mean, there's no limit to how you can do this. He's got it by properties, and what he's done is he's actually, in part of this, he's taking photos. Now, each one of these, this card deck, that's a card, and this, even though you see pictures, he can have action items. And in each card, he can have a checklist, He can have colors, like red, like means it's hot. Like if I look across here and I see a red over there and a red over there, that might be something I want to pay attention to right away. And then we deal with it. He can assign those cards to different team members. So one team member might be a different color. It means that's your deal. So it's a way of moving this stuff. Take one of those cards and just move it inside the card deck. Yeah, see, he's changing it around. He can move it wherever he wants to. Now back out of this and show the the board. So this is just one board that he's looking at.
Yeah, I got all these properties that we're working on, or we worked on basically. Everything in red, it's being rehabbed. It's on the rehab right now. Everything green, it's ready, or rented. Purple, or this, whatever this color is, we got rid of it, we sold it, or whatever the case might be. The ones in blue are already cash flowing. So we basically put different colors to whatever the stage of the property is. And this is old, this is not updated. You see the new one, it's a lot longer than this. I just went into a workspace that I have in one of our companies. I have like 2 different rehabbing companies, so this is just one of them.
And this is a board for properties. You can have a board for leads. He can make a board for leads, like this is incoming leads, acted on leads, dead leads, and whatever. And each one of those leads, he can have a contact information. He might have a picture of the house. He might have the
We even got the insurance policies here. We put everything. That way, any one of the business partners that we got in this particular deal, we can access, certain information, mortgage information. Let's look at one that might be. Let's look at this one real quick. So on this one, we got hazard insurance, flood insurance, the HUD, when we closed on it, what kind of checks we wrote on it, mortgage documents, survey, tax receipts, all insurance. I mean, we got everything that you can put information on regarding to the property. You can just upload it there, and it's all in one space. Now,
one thing, and you may be doing this, but let's say one of these properties is owner finances, is exit strategy. He can create another card deck called, for example, and your imagination is whatever you want it to be, but he could create another card deck called templates. And templates say there's 5 different exit strategies. One of them is owner finance, maybe one's fix and flip, maybe one's hotel. So he can have a workflow or a checklist in that template card deck that says seller finance, and he can just grab it and then move it over to that card or that property where he wants it. Then boom, now he's got the 22 steps on how to do the owner finance as his exit strategy. And all those things can be assigned to somebody on your team. Pretty cool stuff.
that is correct. And one of the things I like about this in particular is that it's these pictures. You will never forget what paint you put on the property. On our case, we put the same paint in every property. That's why HGTV will never do a show on us. They all look the same. They all got the same grade on the walls now, and that's the exterior flat that we use for exterior. So,
did you know you can make that background be anything you want it to be?
yes. I just don't have the time to. Whatever color pops up, that's it.
Just like that HVAC. That HVAC could have a template built in your HVAC. What you want your HVAC. We had a guy going around to the houses to check on the houses, and I listened to one of the Cravens. I don't remember what's the dad's name. Sam is the son, right? Yeah. What's his dad's name? But anyway, he was doing a thing on process management, one of the best speeches I've ever heard. And he says you have 2 jobs as an employee, or 2 jobs as a partner. Anything. One is to follow the process, and 2, make the process better. And so what I tried to do with this guy is I said, look, here's the 12 things you have to do on every house you go by and check. Like make sure the water's turned off, make sure no dead roaches on the floor, the countertop, blah, blah, blah. And he went out there, and then he came back, and I said, let me see the list of the things that we're going to improve. Because I had that conversation with him, and there was nothing on his list, right? So, but that's the power of something like that. You can make that list is gonna constantly be evolving and constantly growing. Put that in your template, in your checklist. Now somebody new comes on board, you know, maybe some apprentice or something comes on board, boom, you got your 15 steps of everything that person needs to do. You know, like what chemicals he needs to take.
Even if you're a solopreneur, Ray, how many times have you gone to Home Depot and said, oh my God, I can't remember the size of your air filter? And then you're wondering, what is the size of the air filter? Because now, you know, look, we put it, this is dumb proof. Air filter size upstairs. 12, 36, 1. Air filter size downstairs. 12, 24, 1. So, you just put it up on your phone and you look at it, oh, okay, this is the one I need for upstairs, this is the one I need for downstairs. So, you can customize this app however you want. Once you have that many boards, it's not free anymore. You're gonna have to pay like $14 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a segue into apps. Okay, first of all, that's very, okay, 2 questions, that's it.
So this is a app or a website?
It's both.
It's both.
You can almost use this almost like a CRM almost.
Well, the 12 houses that we got, that they need to go on Trello immediately. And they need to be dumped in there, and and the machine starts, and then you have eyes on it every day, and you push the ball forward.
Right.
And in this, since we segued into apps, oh no, we did quite get there.
There's another app that kind of does the same thing, but all you need, it's free. All you need to do is take a picture of the nameplate, like on your air conditioner unit or something, and take a picture of the nameplate, and it will automatically fills it into the app, and it gives you a part list of your air conditioner parts or whatever it is.
Wow.
And then it also attaches a manual for the item.
Do you know what that
And it also gives you videos on how to do, and it also gives you a part list where you can order parts.
Is it just for AC or anything?
No, that's anything in your house. You can do it for your paint and all that.
What's the
When
name?
you sell your house, you can transfer that data to your.
Do you know the name of the app?
Yeah, Century.
Okay. My
I'll
secretary write this down.
email it to you.
Okay, Century or Century?
Yeah, I
S-E-N-T-R-Y?
can post it. I email it to you.
Well, we can
you
say that.
Century. Google.
Okay.
Google it.
With a
Century.
C or an S?
Try both.
Okay. Well, no, we're gonna try to put all this on that PDF so everybody here can get to it. Okay, Trello's, at least on Android, I can't speak for Apple because I don't do business with those people anymore. But Android, the Trello app is very good. I mean, it's one of those few things that actually works just like the website. So we don't have a lot of time left, but I want to talk about apps. So what other apps? That's great. That's worth the trip for me tonight to hear that. That's beautiful. What other apps are there?
Mile IQ.
It's what?
Mile.
Mile IQ? Okay, tell us a little bit about it.
It
Hold on, so where's the microphone?
keeps track of your
Where's your
mileage.
microphone? God, put it there.
Okay,
Oh, God.
yeah, you're famous.
It keeps track of all your mileage, you put it on your phone, and you get your card, and we all need that for our tax purposes.
Right.
Keeps a
Phone right in
log.
front,
And
next to the beer.
you go in and you put whether it's business, what kind of business, it's really a great app.
Okay, Mile IQ.
Oh, it's this thing.
Well, there's another, I think, I've only had to invoke this a couple times, maybe y'all can help me with it. But somebody said, well, we made a deposit like of $8,000 like 9 months ago at a bank. And nobody could figure out where it was, so we thought, well, maybe we can figure out when we did it and where we were before and where we went afterwards, we can figure out what it was about. And so we got on Google, and Google Mapping has history. And so you can go back, if you have that turned on, you can go back. I can go back every single day, as long as I have my phone with me, and it keeps up with where I'm at. And so I can go back and find that history. And I've used that more than once. In fact, I've used it also, I can bring it up online on a computer, and now I use Google Apps, but you can use it with Google too, And if you lose a phone, you can see where your phone was the last place that it was turned on. Yeah, that's some pretty powerful stuff. What other apps we got out there? We got a big list of them, but y'all guys, give us some more.
Road Warrior?
Okay, what is it?
Road Warrior. I use that like, you know, for people that go door knocking.
Okay.
You can just put, like, let's say you have 20 properties, and you just punch all the 20 in, and they'll route you, to give you the shortest and best route to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that better than Google Maps? Because with Google Maps, we can put 8 or 9 in Google Maps, and we have to kind of push it where we want to go. You know, we have to grab the
So
little.
can you explain the quick route again?
So it's, if you do, I think up to about 15 to 20 is free on Road Warrior. If you
Okay.
do more, then you have to.
So you can do 15 or 20 at one time?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that, I think with Google Maps, we can only use like 10.
Yeah. So
Okay, cool.
pretty good.
I like it. Okay, what else?
Map my customers, kind of the same thing.
Map my customers?
Yeah, $5, but you can put in and just start out and just go from 1 to 1 and it'll still tell you directions.
And will it figure out what order they need to be in?
Yeah.
Okay. In other words, you put them in any order and it just says, okay,
It'll
this
tell you
is,
where to start and then where you want to finish and then
Cool.
put them all in.
okay. Map my customer. Okay. What else? All right.
Easy calculator.
Yeah. Tell, what's special about that?
So I use the Easy calculator to do like, because I do a lot of owner financing. So however much the finance amount, what are their terms and interest rate, and it'll just give you the PI, the principal and interest. Then you can also hit a button, it'll show you the whole amortization chart for 30 years if that's your loan number.
Does it have slots in there where you can add the tax rate and the insurance to get the PITI?
No, it doesn't. Do you have one that does that?
Carl's calculator does that, but I don't use that anymore. I mean, I just don't have a need for it, but anybody else using Carl's calculator? It's a KARLS. Yeah. Okay, so Carl's calculator, I use the HP 10BII. It's like $5. It's got the red icon. It gives you a lot of that stuff. If I want to figure out, somebody says earlier this, and the interest rate was 5 1/4, and the mortgage was 8 years old, I can just pull up put those numbers in, pull up the amortization table, and just like probably with Easy Calculator, find out what the balance is within a certain range.
What was that acronym you said?
It's HP. It's a Hewlett Packard emulator, and it's HPBII. Or, you know,
HPBII.
yeah, Hewlett Packard, and it's the red icon. It's red icon. I think I typed it on this page somewhere. Yeah, no, 10BII. Sorry, 10BII. There's another one I use called I forgot the name. I didn't write it. That's just the model of that calculator. That was a real calculator, and this was an emulator for it. Yeah, I didn't write it down. There is another calculator I use. It actually has a printout. It's not a real printout, but it's got the printout picture of it. And I like that because if you ever get to where you're typing in a bunch of numbers and you make a mistake, you don't have to go back and redo it. You just go back and look at the tape, the electric tape, and see what those numbers were and see which one was wrong. Yes, sir.
Ray, I'm sorry to do this. I was offered $100 cash tonight for somebody to fill in a simple survey. I think there's only 3 more people that are in here.
Okay.
I've got to leave, and I promised to offer the $100.
Okay.
I'm also
I'll take
offering.
100.
I'm also offering $500 cash in 2 months at that meeting if people will go to survey.auctionmydeal.com and fill out some feedback about the website. So you'll be in a drawing. All you have to do is go to survey.auctionmydeal.com, and I'm giving away $500 cash.
Free money.
And I didn't have that many people, but I'm seeing that I only have 3 or 4 that are still in here. So can we have a drawing for $100 cash?
Let me put an innocent hand, hold on. Innocent hand.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I was back in there. I was trying to get people.
I got 2 tickets, man.
Wait a second. You got-
That was actually, that was the only.
Okay, and let's do one. Is that right? How about this? 541-7707. Who's got that?
7707?
Yes, sir. Lucky winner right there. $100
cash.
Look at that, man. That's how you stack them.
So anyway, if y'all are interested in the $500, please go to survey.auctionmydeal.com.
I saw a couple $100 more there.
And I'll be giving that. Yeah. Well, yeah, I was trying to get people to sign up early.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I should have tried harder.
All right.
Anyway, thank you so much.
All right. So, as a matter of fact, you know what? I think I got a door prize as well. Yeah, I got two. It's 250 letters each.
Okay.
Who went out and networked with the vendors? Pull out your business cards. One of them is going to have a YL on it. Actually, two of them. There's two winners. We got a winner there. Let me see that.
Trust me, it says YL.
All right, perfect. You're getting yourself 250 yellow letters. We just need the list. And I got ready for you if you want to.
There's one
So
more.
make sure you contact me this week so we can get your letters going. Who was the other one? There's another one out there. Maybe they left already.
She gets the other 250 then.
You got a deal, Ricardo.
I don't know about that.
Oh, here you go, right here.
I got it.
You got it? There you go, 250 yellow letters. Congratulations.
If they buy a house, do they have to split the profit with you?
They don't, they keep all the profits.
Okay.
Just make sure you put 30% of that assignment fee back into marketing.
Okay,
On this website.
let's hit a few more apps real quick and then we'll call it an evening. I'll tell you probably my favorite app of all time, or it's in the top, is Audible.
Yes, Audible.
I mean, if you want to sit down and have a conversation with Ulysses S. Grant after he won the Civil War and was president, and you want to listen to what he's got to say, you can sit right there on the porch where he wrote it and hear what he said. I mean, to reach out to the greatest people of our time or to the greatest thought providers or thinkers and to listen to that when you're driving down the road or in a car or walking or whatever, how can you beat that? I mean, you know, knowledge is everything. That's what I'm gonna say. Audible, A-U-D-I-B-L-E. I've got probably over 300 books on in my little library. I listen to them all the time, you know, and sometimes I go a month without listening to them, and then next month I might listen to 2 books.
A-U-D-I-B-L-E.
Yeah, A-U-D-I-B-L-E. It's owned by Amazon now. But I sign up for like either 1 book a month or 2 books a month, and it's like $20 a month, and I listen to them. And a lot of it is business books, a lot of it's marketing, branding.
We have a question there, right?
Autobiographies. Yes.
I was just gonna add another app on the list whenever you're
Sure.
ready.
No, I'm done.
Bring it up.
So if you're doing flips and stuff in the city of Houston, one of our horrible expenses is debris removal. So
Okay.
utilizing City of Houston, the trash services that they use, there's an app called Roll Out,
Roll Out.
ROLLOUT. And you go to your location or type in the address inside the City of Houston, it'll tell you what the trash program is for that particular address, and therefore you can hopefully utilize it to the best.
Save some of the money on the
money.
dumping services.
Does it show where the dumps are, the free dumps that you got?
No, this tells you at the address what the trash service is that's provided.
Trash
at the
days,
address.
pretty much, or heavy pickup.
Whatever they are.
Cool, that's great, that's a great tool.
If they have a heavy trash day or something like that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. You see, you learn something new every day. I would have saved me money on buying my dumpster.
Well, I don't know if it's still in place, but there's also 7 or 8 places around town where if you have a City of Houston water bill, you can go dump your trailer. They'll have like a ramp and a roll-off container, and you just dump your trailer in.
Houston water bill?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the way
You
you
have
can
to
find,
click
I think you can
residency
actually
when water
Google
bill
it,
says
and
that.
that's how we find it.
Yeah.
Look for it. Trash is one of our biggest problems, dealing with all the trash.
Yeah.
Okay, any other apps anybody's got?
I have an app, it's called Flipster.
Okay, tell us about it. Yeah, tell us.
Well, it's just an app, you go on it and it.
Give me 1 second, Simon, can I get that microphone real quick, please? So I can share the mic.
It's just an app, you go on, it's called Flipster, Flipster, and it just identifies leads and stuff like that. And it will, it's very mobile and, but you have to pay for it.
But you
It's
buy
all
the
good.
leads, or you buy the leads, or?
Yes.
Okay.
You buy the leads and there's some other services that's also provided, it's called Flipster. So you might look into that as well.
Write that down, go Google it, flipster.com. All right, it's flipster.com, it'll show up.
Thank you very
It's
much.
an app.
I'll tell
Thank you,
you,
Mr. Mike.
an app we use all the time, you'd be surprised how much you use it. When it first came out, I hated it because it was all spam, and it's not like that anymore. It actually is a good app, and it's called WeatherBug. Yeah, WeatherBug will show you what the weather is by the hour. In a 24-hour clock, it'll say 7 o'clock. Like a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, it's going to rain tomorrow." And you get in, you pull it up, and it's going to rain at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. And then it's not going to rain no more for the rest of the day. That's good stuff to know. It also has a lot of options. It has where you can just push the little screen and it brings up the radar for wherever you're at, and it shows you. You say, yeah, the rate at which that rains or storms coming through. It's going to be out here by so it'll be out here by noon. So I use WeatherBug a lot because my wife is like she should have been a weatherman. That's Mr. Collin. Because she's really into the weather. But I like this because it says when it's going to rain, or it says how cold it's going to be, or what the high temperature for the day, on what hour of the day it's going to be.
We got more apps, Ray.
We do?
Yes.
I was just gonna throw out two before we took off, we got an appointment we gotta go to. For, somebody mentioned receipts and stuff, my like you, that one's already been mentioned, but Expensify is one to use, as far as receipts and documenting. It's got a lot of features within it. And Pinbox, if you're doing driving for dollars and stuff, that's an easy app to use to drop pins and know where you were driving for dollars instead of wondering where you drove for dollars. Or wondering when you scribble scratch the address incorrectly, you can't figure out why your letters keep coming back.
On the same note, for your receipts, if you're running, or starting to run a business, get QuickBooks.
Yeah.
It's easy to track all your receipts and expenses, and talk to a CPA that when you set it up right from the beginning and you don't struggle like me, trying to fix businesses 3 years, it's painful.
There's one of the things too is like we use a VA bookkeeper. She works for us 2 hours a day. And virtual assistant bookkeeper. And she's out of the Philippines. She's got a degree in accounting. And a lot of times people will use those apps where they connect through the internet to your computer, and then they run your QuickBooks on the computer. That's a pain in the butt because your system has to be up and everything. So we're going to something called Cloud9.
Yeah.
So the online QuickBooks is, I don't think, really good for real estate investors who are doing a lot of transactions, but the desktop version is good, and you can put that on Cloud9. So that's a server, and so the bookkeeper from the Philippines can go into the server, get QuickBooks. We can go into the server, get QuickBooks. And so it doesn't have to stay on our computer in our office with the computer running 24/7. So
We got Mr. Darren. You got something to say there?
Yeah, so I was in a class that was taught, I can't remember the lady's name right now, but she was really good at marketing, right? So an app that she talked about, I've downloaded, I haven't gotten a chance to use it, but it's called HomeSnap. I don't know if you guys have heard about that one. But it's a really good app. Apparently you can take a picture of a home and it'll give you lots of data on the home, possibly including the owner and et cetera. I don't know if that was mentioned today, but it's a really good app to have.
Thank you for sharing. Ron
has an app.
I got many apps that I'm not working.
Ray, actually, I appreciate this because it has to do with fire damaged homes. So I have an app that I'm able to pull a list of houses that have burned in Houston today. I get a list tomorrow, and I'm able to market to those houses.
What app is that?
And Ray is the king of burnt down homes, right?
not so much. I still
Okay, the app is called Pulse Point. Pulsepoint. It's mainly used by EMS and stuff like that.
Insurance adjusters use that app to
Yeah.
market their services.
Yes. And then I don't know if DocuSign was mentioned yet?
Not yet.
Okay, most important app that I use is DocuSign because sellers can sign from their mobile devices, from their tablets, from their computers, of course. But anytime you need a contract signed, they can log right into DocuSign and sign it. You can execute a contract immediately.
Do you use some of with DocuSign where you send it to one party, then it goes to the next party, then it goes to the next
Yes,
party?
and you can also assign who receives recipients a copy of the contract.
Right.
And I always put the title company as a copy.
Once it's executed, they're the last one to receive it?
Yeah, so everyone gets it almost at the same time. So as soon as the seller signs it, everybody gets a copy of
Does
it.
DocuSign have, one of the problems we have, we'll turn contracts into a title company and then they'll pretend they never got it. So does DocuSign have the nag pages where it says they have to respond to it, saying they got it?
No, they have open receipts. So it'll tell you if title has opened that email or not, or if it's sitting in their inbox.
Cool.
And you can open up a receipt from DocuSign.
Okay.
So that's the two ones that I use. I think that's pretty much.
I want to throw another one out there. Is I use, normally with it, and we haven't talked much about Apple products, but why would we? You do use Apple, right?
I'm an Apple guy, so.
The Messenger app that comes with Android, I think it's called Messenger or Messages or something.
Messenger. Apple has that too.
Okay, so I use Textra. And Textra, you can download that in the Play Store, and it has a lot more functions. And I can't speak for y'all, but I very rarely can keep up with my emails. I get 60 or 100 a day. My text, I can keep up with because it has a little counter on there, and I can see. Like today, we were so busy, I only had 16 texts that I hadn't checked, but I knew I had them, and so I was trying to go through them and try to get them knocked out while I was driving up here. But Textra is really good. It's got some good features. And then also, there's SMS backup, which you can have that. I don't know if you know much about Dropbox, but Dropbox is so powerful. It's got so many tools in it. We run a ton of our business through Dropbox, but things like SM backup, cam scanner, total recall, all those apps will feed into, if you wanted to, will feed into Dropbox. So anytime I get within Wi-Fi range of my home computer, right, if it's on Wi-Fi, it will update any pictures I've taken in my camera, goes right into my Dropbox. The SMSs and stuff I've sent, it backs those things up. If there's any from Total Recall, if there's any voice recordings or something, it backs those right up to my Dropbox. And then I get that Dropbox for my desktop, the terabyte version. And I've got that up to 700 or 800 megabytes now. But you can take my computer and steal it tonight, and it's not gonna affect my any of my accounts because I just go to another computer, put in Dropbox, put in my email, and it just downloads it all from the cloud.
And just like Dropbox, I like Google Cloud or Google Drive.
Yeah.
And
extremely powerful.
that one is very powerful. There's another one called OneDrive.
Well, before you do that, talk a little bit about Google Drive and some of the, because there are some features Google Drive has that Dropbox doesn't have.
I guess it's on the preference on what you want to use. Like Dennis, my business partner, he loves Dropbox, and that's why I have it here. And when he wants to share something with me, he'll send it to me by Dropbox.
Right.
But when I want to share something with him, I do it through Google Drive. and he does OneDrive. So there are 3 different platforms that we use.
Yeah, so that's one of y'all going to have to give in.
Well, it's supposed to be them.
Yeah,
the ones that need to give in.
Well, I'll tell you, the reason why I haven't given up on Google Drive is because like with Google Drive is it's like a drive that's online. It's like having a hard drive that's online. But Google, we use things like Google Sheets, And Google Sheets, Ricardo and I could be on the phone and updating Google Sheets simultaneously live, and I can see where he's updating things, he can see where I'm updating things. So I just love Google Sheets because of that, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff that Google will do.
Correct.
So I'll try.
The other things I like about Google, you know, it's, for me, it's just a user experience kind of thing. For me, it's easier to handle than Dropbox, but again, if you ask Dennis, he's gonna tell you that Dropbox is, you know.
Well, one of the advantages.
It is, man. Exactly, you heard that.
No, I like Google Drive, no question about it, but the thing I like about Dropbox is if I've got a lot of partnerships and a lot of deals going on, I can open Dropbox up, it doesn't matter if I have internet connection or not, it's on my computer. And then if there's a lot of stuff, like it's stuff I don't look at every day, I can take it off my computer and say it's non-synced. It's Dropbox, but it's not synced with my computer. So I can separate it like that also. Like when we went to Europe, I probably took 2 gigabytes of pictures and stuff. There's no reason to have that on my computer, so it's a non-sync type stuff. But actual deals that we're working on, everything's on my Dropbox. And if it's on my Dropbox, the app for the Android is probably Apple, but Apple doesn't like the rest of the world, so it may not be there. So, but the Dropbox, I can pull up, if him and I are working a deal and he says, Ray, did that soffit have a problem or not? The guy's charging me for it. I can bring up my Dropbox, bring up my photos, and say, no, that soffit was good, or that water heater had the vent pipe, you know. Tell them to take a house.
I have one more, just one more real quick to help everybody out. Who's on a budget?
We all are.
Ricardo, we know you're not on a budget.
Come on, I'm probably the one that's most on the budget, trust me.
All right, so if you are on a budget, like everyone, and including myself, I would recommend an app or the website called Fiverr. Have you guys heard of Fiverr?
I know, I have those.
Okay, so Ricardo, if you can go to Fiverr.com, if you're looking for not only a VA, you're looking for somebody to do cold calls for you, I have shot YouTube commercials and paid $7 to, instead of paying $600 for a commercial or $6,000, we shot the commercial ourselves. We found somebody on Fiverr, paid $7, and we got 3 leads off of that Facebook ad.
So what exactly did they do?
All they went in is, it kind of looks like an exclusive furniture commercial, right? Where it's popping up, we buy houses, foreclosure, divorce, probate. So it's all popping up in my background.
Yeah, that's what retargeting.
They can do
No,
No, it's in the video.
Ray's question, what does Fiverr does?
Fiverr
No,
makes
what did it do in his case? I didn't understand specifically what. You said you.
So they edit the video,
Okay, so-
right? And then I paid someone else to do the Facebook marketing, and he charged me like $20.
So that, and if you don't know, when you edit a video, they say it's 3-to-1. If it's 2-minute or 10-minute video, it takes 30 or 40 minutes to edit it, right? So they did that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then they added some other stuff to it, like pop-ups in the video.
Yeah, like the phone number is appearing like
Gotcha.
believe me, and yeah, so they really take care of you as far as that. And then it's freelance marketing, so it's freelance work that people do for you. So if you're on a budget, I would highly recommend Fiverr. They create a lot of our stuff. So
Well, there's a local guy, I don't know if y'all know Alan Hernandez, but he got on Facebook and he showed some boxing gloves and said, I'm out to get my first boxing lesson. So I went to Fiverr and I said, I want him to have a black eye and a missing tooth. And I got that and I posted that right under his picture of him. So,
did you?
yeah.
There you go. So Fiverr helps you out if you're a baller on a budget. That's your app right there.
And look, if you're a freelancer and you're looking for work, you want to go there and sign up too, because you can get a lot of work through Fiverr. I've used it, so you're right. It's a good source of freelance.
We got to wrap this up very soon, but
Look, I got the home security systems on here.
Upwork. Yes, Upwork is another place, and they actually test them, and you kind of know what you're having. You had.
No, I was gonna say, they're doing a logo for $20 for me.
Logo for $20? Yeah. And that was Fiverr? Yeah.
I want to show real quick here, how many of you are, do rehabs or have rental properties that sit vacant from time to time? All right.
And not only that, they steal stuff out of it.
Right, that's why you use Simply Safe. I got about, I think it's about 15 of these little systems. And what we do is as soon as we close on a property and we start doing some work that can be damaged, whether we put a water heater or we already did the drywall and we don't want kids to go vandalize the property, we set this up. We put the Simply Safe, we put a couple of devices on the windows, that way if they break on a window, it triggers the alarm. We put on the main door and the back door, we could put a couple of devices there as well.
Do you need electricity on?
You do need electricity.
But no Wi-Fi?
And you need Wi-Fi.
Oh, you do?
Yes. So I do have, well, for some of them you don't, because they got their own, only when you use the camera, you need the Wi-Fi.
Right.
But if you don't use the camera, which I want to use the camera, I want to see who's breaking in.
Right.
I don't know what I gain by it, but anyways. It's got that tower there is going to have its own Wi-Fi, and it's going to send the signal to the police, and police is going to show
Well,
up.
wait a second, I'm just confused. Do I have to have Wi-Fi on in the house?
No.
Okay.
The only reason you might want to have.
But this has a way to talk to the phone company.
That is correct.
Okay. So it has a
It's a built-in cell phone.
Okay.
Yes, it's got a built-in cell phone.
So I don't have to have, all I gotta have is power.
All you need is power. Now, there is a version of this where you can add cameras.
Right.
And we usually use those when we got contractors that we might not know and we want to make sure that they're doing their work.
Or they show up. I've got a house right now, the guys are not showing up. And
Exactly.
every time I talk to them, they act.
That's all you gotta do is go up, get on the camera, and you can see whether they're working or
Yeah, in
not.
fact, what I'll do, and I'm gonna do that, because every time they go over there, I'm just gonna text them that time.
Right.
And when they leave, I'm gonna text them.
Well, this is how we track people showing up to work.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been there since 7 o'clock in the morning. No, you haven't. You know, how do you know that? Well, I got Simply Safe, and they get smart. You know, they go disconnected on purpose, let the battery run down or whatever. But yeah, you know what I mean.
Well, you need a camera pointing at them as they walk up to the device.
Correct.
Because then you can see them walking towards it, unplugged.
Well, everything they open or close that has a device on it, not the whole system, but basically it's a sensor, a door sensor or a window sensor, whatever. It's going to show up when they open it or close it.
So what is my cost on a basic one that will
I think it's like maybe $19 a month. But for the system, it's like, depending on which system you buy, they got different packages. I usually buy the $700 one. Hello? Yeah, it's $700 and it brings like everything. Like I'm one of those guys that I buy the most expensive stuff just because I think it works better. Which it does, because now you get a bunch of different sensors you can put around the property. Look, once you get started on this rehab, you're gonna have materials, you're gonna have tools, and really the $700 device is gonna amount to almost nothing compared to what you're gonna lose if somebody steals it or somebody breaks into the property.
Ricardo, one of the things I have a firm belief that the police will never do anything. So, how is
This thing is better than any other system I have come across.
But I mean,
they will show up.
Will it run people off? I mean.
Oh yeah, it'll run because the little tower, this little white tower down here, that thing will make a sound.
Where's it? Where do you put it?
You put it whatever you want. I mean,
do you hide it?
No, you don't have to. I actually want them to see it.
Okay.
That way, if they see something weird, they get scared.
And what are they gonna do? Pick it up and run off with it?
Well, you know, the good thing about Simply Safe is that they're very fast at communicating with the local police, and the local police will show up.
Okay.
So we get calls all the time. Yes, sir.
Does it alert your phone or anything like that?
Yes, it sends an alert to your phone. What they do is it triggers the alarm, it goes to the system or to the central station, wherever they're taking the calls, and then from there, they're gonna call the first number that you put online, which is your cell phone or your home phone or whatever. And if you don't answer the phone, it goes to the next person that you put in line. So they need to get a hold of somebody. If they don't get a hold of anybody, then the police gets dispatched. That's another thing. Make sure you pick up the phone. Because when the police gets dispatched a few times, and it's a false alarm or whatever, then you get a ticket. Yes, sir.
Two things. If you sign up have discounts that come every month, $200 off the system.
There you go, so he just saved you a couple
I
$100.
didn't hear that. Say that
If
again.
you sign up on the Simply Safe website,
Where's the mic?
they'll,
Well, we can get it.
1, 2.
Simply, you sign up on the Simply Safe website.
every month they send you coupons and discounts. They'll have one of their systems. Every month they'll have one of their systems on special, and you generally will save $200 off the Simply Safe on the Simply Safe system. But the other thing as far as the deterrent are the signs that you put around your house, the outside signs. And on more than a couple of our properties, we bought dummy cameras and bought the little signs from Amazon to put around there. And if they see the cameras, functional or not, and see the signs 9 times out of 10, they'll pass it up.
Well, and you bring up another thought, on those cameras, can I watch what's going on if it's
Yes.
activated?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay.
And actually, you can watch anytime.
I have
Once you put the camera in, and you want to log in at 2 o'clock in the morning because you couldn't sleep,
You
there
know
you
what,
go.
I mean, my guy's not showing up when they say they're there and the job's taking 2 or 3 weeks longer. To me, that would pay for that right there.
It does. We use it in a lot of properties,
Yeah.
for the most part, just to make sure our tools are not getting stolen.
Where would I go buy one tomorrow morning?
Simplysafe.com.
No, I need it tomorrow morning.
Hey, how much can we give the one we got right now, Dennis?
You said you got 15, who needs 15?
We're using them, trust
Who
me.
needs 15?
Um,
Well, where's the house that's one home? Can you give me
one thing,
Math, get ready.
one thing you have to think of is that maybe the upfront cost seems like a little bit steep, but once you rent the house, you take it up, you put it in another house.
Yeah.
So our system, we have been using them for years now, they're already paid for, time. They pay for them, so during Harvey, that's how we knew whether the house is flooded or not. There we go, because we looked at the cameras and we're like, oh, this guy knows our good, we didn't flood that one. But on the other ones, we were like, oh, that one flooded. Was that? Yes, Best Buy had, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I think we're gonna have to wrap this up because,
let me get one more thing, Ray.
but at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was doing CrossFit.
One more.
You were still laying in
Look,
bed.
no, I wasn't, I was actually riding bicycles, so who's actually running a business out here? Or who wants to run a business? Alright, this is not an app, this is a tool. It's called the Vision Traction Organizer.
Did you see that on my chart? Did you see it on my paper?
I did.
You did?
Was it there?
Yes, I put it on there. And I almost didn't put it on there because, right there, level 10 needs.
Okay.
I almost didn't put it on there because it's not really technology, but it really is, it's totally turned our company.
The reason why, and I brought this up, is I use it, or we use it in our different businesses, and it gives you a very good idea on where you need to go, the action items that you need to take, who owns those items. It's basically a
You know
roadmap.
what? I want you to tell a little bit more about it, but this is so powerful and so important. You and I ought to do a workshop on that.
Yes.
We started these about 2.5 years ago, and we run a couple of our businesses through it, and it's made a huge difference. So, but go ahead and tell us more.
It does. I mean, there's actually a book called Traction that I highly suggest you read. If you want to scale your business, it doesn't matter how big or small your business is today. If you read that book and you start applying everything that guy, his name is Gino something, I can't remember his name.
Do you know you can do these by yourself?
Yes.
You can have this setup where you can have a meeting by yourself and you will actually get stuff done.
That is correct. It's basically accountability. I would call it an accountability partner, okay, that you're creating yourself. So on this particular case, the first thing you do is you set up your core values. What are your core values in your company and your business, or even if you're a solopreneur, what are really your core values? Why are you doing what you're doing, okay? On our case, we got things like, if you see, you own it. Like, if you see a problem, now you become the owner. So you gotta fix that.
But that doesn't mean you have to do the action.
No, that's correct.
An owner is different than the person that's not always the same person, the one doing the work.
Right.
If you have a team, the goal is to be the owner of the problem maybe, but to spread the action items out to other people.
Correct. Then, once you identify your core values, then you move into your focus. What do you want to do? Is it wholesaling? Is it flipping? Is it owner financing? What is it that you really want to do? And, you know, what is the core of your business? You got to know what the core of your business is. If you don't know what the core of your business, you're going to be running around in circles. Because you really don't know where you're going. Okay? The next item they have here is the 10-year target. So they don't go, okay, what's your 1-year target? No, they go 10 years. Where do you want to be in 10 years? That way you can start visualizing. Okay, in 10 years, I want to be doing, I don't know, 1,000 wholesale deals or whatever. Or maybe 0, you're right. But it depends on where you want to be in 10 years. You're going to reverse engineer, and they don't show page number 2 here, I'm not sure if they do, but basically you're reversing engineering 10 years backwards. On the second page, let me see if I got one here.
What is the website?
What's the actual website?
Just put VTO organizer on Google and it will take you there. That's exactly what I did.
Right now, we'll do a workshop on it, do a summary, because you still got 3 more steps to do.
I'll go real quick here. Ready. So, and I really don't mind sharing my own stuff. It changes a lot anyways. This is our wholesaling company. And basically we have our core values very well defined. And we have a purpose.
I can't read the type. What is it?
I'll read it. I just don't want to get into details, you know, because we will be here for 2 hours, but.
And it normally takes a day or 2 to do this one piece of paper.
Yes, it can take you actually a few weeks, you know, depending on how big or how small you're wanting to grow, but.
With our Alamo Arena, on our 3rd one, and we basically did a 2-day retreat and took both days to do on it after we've already done 2, so it wasn't like we were being trailblazers for the department. But it was worth it because it focuses us on the things that we need to do tomorrow.
Right. So, you know, first thing is core values, positive can-do attitude, integrity, be a team player. You define your core values, you know what those are, okay? And if you don't know what those are, you need to know how to dig inside of you to understand what those are. Then you go on the focus.
Or your company.
Or your company, you're right. Then you go on the focus, you know, and on this case is to help as many families and individuals transition to a better life by selling their properties to us. That's the focus, is to help the seller, okay? In the, you know, we help the sellers and we make money by doing that. But my focus is not, I'm gonna make as much money as I, you know, no, that's not the focus. The focus is let's help the person first. And then after we help them, then we get a reward, okay? Our niche is we buy houses and we offer same as cash for real estate investors at 70% all in or less. That's pretty much our niche. For most part of the properties we do is for flippers.
Let's go, so, because we got to go into our rocks, then we got to go in our.
Right, I don't want to put too much into that, like 10-year target. So I got my 10-year target.
Okay.
Then we go into the marketing strategies. What am I going to do on marketing? I'm going to do Google AdWords, blanket marketing, niche leads, mailers, Facebook ads. Anything that you're doing regarding to your marketing, you got to add it there. And then you go on a 3-year picture, and then you go on to what are the rocks, okay? And basically, who owns the rocks, what are the issues, and then it takes you back to your 1-year plan. So you reverse engineer it from 10 years, then it takes you to 3 years, and then it takes you to a 1-year plan. So basically, whatever your business is, whether you're doing general contracting, you're doing wholesaling, flipping, whatever it is, you can use a vision, traction, organize. Even if you're an accountant, and you're selling accounting services.
Just real briefly, you're going to talk, I mean, basically the 1-year plan then goes into 90-day rocks. And then the rocks go into, basically that's quarterly. So now, I don't know about y'all, but we have our meeting every week. Okay, so we meet weekly and we talk about where we are with our rocks. You know, we have different metrics we want to follow with those rocks. So we talk about that. We talk about what our metrics are. We talk about our to-do items. And just give you an example, on the to-do, when we go through this list, if there's 5 people in the meeting, we don't talk about why something didn't get done. We talk about whether it got done or didn't. And we have a goal of getting 70 to 80% of those items done. And if it's important, we move it to IDS. And one of the things, there's a theory that says the right butt in the right seat, that's what you're shooting for. Well, they had me down for something that the first week, they said, did you do it? Yes or no? I said no. The second week, did you do it? Yes or no? I said no. Third week, and by the way, everybody in the group, I don't know about you, but we have a different person run the meeting every meeting. Because the meeting really runs itself, and I want everybody to be able to run that meeting. And so like the third, fourth week, I said, didn't do it. Then the person running the meeting says, okay, we've got a new person doing that item, it's this person. And they just, like, I was the wrong butt in the wrong seat, and it didn't matter because that action item had to get done to accomplish that rock, or either we weren't gonna make our target.
Just like that. So this is an accountability partner for yourself and your business partners or everybody you're working with. If you're doing a JV or whatever, if you're a realtor, you can use this to know how many leads you're getting. If you're in general contracting, you can use any business.
Right.
No, you can run your household with this thing if you wanted to. You just need to learn what you need to put in each box and identify everything, and then, you know, who owns the rocks, just like Ray was saying. And, you know, reverse engineering from 10 years to now. And that's helped us a lot to understand where we are in the business, whether we're doing good on the business, whether we're doing bad on the business, because not everything is free. You might catch yourself that you're not hitting your targets and you have to readjust what you're doing. Based on, this is just an accountability tool.
But the power to me is, it takes the emotions and feelings out of it, and it's everybody's rowing the boat in the same direction at the same time. It doesn't, meetings don't go overboard. I'm so proud of our group. We meet on Tuesday mornings. We kick butt on it. I mean, we identify what we need to talk about, and that's the whole purpose of the meeting. And then we get into that section where we have those problems. It's called IDS, identify, discuss, and solve. And so we get in there and we just go right through it. It's all business. There's even a part of the meeting where we talk about what's going on in our personal life. It's timed. And then when you get out of that section, you're out of that section. And there's no more grandstanding. I mean, we just go right through that meeting, get it done, and we're off.
So take your time, go check it out, download the app, the forum, fill it out to the best that you can, and you're gonna realize that every quarter or every month or however you decide to, revise your plan, you're gonna start making changes to it. You're gonna see what works, what doesn't work, and this is pretty much your roadmap for
Let me ask
going
you,
forward.
Ricardo, I don't know if we did it right, but I think we ended up doing it the way most people did. We started having the traction weekly meetings first, even before we had our rocks, even before we had our 10-year plan, and it just totally organized the meeting. But then, within about 4 months, 3 to 4 months, then we had the weekend meeting where we actually said, well, what is our 10-year plan? What are our rocks? And then we worked backwards, but we'd already been running the meeting, and we were actually doing a pretty good job running the meeting and having really good success with that.
We got very good at that too. We actually did it every Monday.
Well, what you're doing here is really good. The way you're setting that up, it's very impressive.
Well, and it keeps us accountable, and even if we're screwing up, which we have plenty of times, it gives us time to say, okay, we need to change the way we're doing things.
Yeah.
Maybe these strategies that we're using right now are not the right ones. What else can we do in order to improve? Or even to say, this plan doesn't work. And you just trash it and you come up with a new plan, but at least you know where you are.
Right.
So that's why I want to bring this up, is a VTO, Mission Traction Organizer. Read the book if you can. With that being said, Ray, I think we've covered enough.
Yeah, wore me out.
There's a lot of information out here that you guys probably took maybe 10% of it today.
I think this was great.
I think